Why do you procrastinate? Hello everyone, we meet again at Explore the World. Surely some of you have heard the news. In March 2025, the administration of US President Donald Trump is preparing to issue a comprehensive immigration restriction order, targeting 41 countries around the world, divided into 3 separate groups. The first group includes 10 countries such as Afghanistan, Iran, Syria, Cuba, North Korea, which are completely banned from issuing visas. But today, we will not talk about all 41 countries. Let's break into the Asian countries in Mr. Trump's sights to see why this president dislikes them, and what bans he has launched that have caused a stir around the world. 1. China, the giant enemy in Trump's eyes. First, it is impossible not to mention China, the big player that always tops the list of immigrants to the US. Every year, about 60,000 Chinese people flock to the land of the stars and stripes, from students, technology experts to businessmen. In cities like New York, San Francisco, or Los Angeles, you will encounter colorful Chinatowns with bright red signs, the fragrant smell of noodles, and supermarkets full of made in China goods. Not only that, the Chinese also own more than 350,000 acres of agricultural land in 27 US states, a number that makes many people admire. But for Donald Trump, this is not something to be proud of. He is always hot-headed when he sees China invading the US, from Silicon Valley to research institutes, pushing American businesses into fierce competition. Trump was once concerned that some Chinese might be secretly transferring defense technology to Beijing. Remember, in 2018, he launched a earth-shattering trade war with China, imposing a 25% tariff on goods worth 250 billion United States dollars, about 5,800 trillion VND, accusing China of cheating the US for many years. In response, Beijing was not pleased, launching a retaliatory strike with tariffs on US goods worth 110 billion United States dollars. Not stopping there, China also showed off its muscles when exporting more than 450 billion United States dollars of goods to the US each year, a huge number that gave Trump a headache because of the ever-increasing trade deficit. Chinese technology is also a thorn in Trump's side. From Hua, TikTok to the cheap AI chatbot version V3, surpassing Chatbot on the App Store, Beijing has continuously challenged the US's position. Trump once warned, "This is a wake-up call for American technology companies." And he wasn't just talking. On March the 21st, 2025, a White House official revealed that Trump had signed an executive order restricting Chinese investment in strategic sectors, like technology, and blocking individuals with ties to Beijing from acquiring important U.S. businesses and assets. Earlier, in 2020, he banned U.S. companies from using Hua equipment on national security grounds. TikTok, an app with 170 million users in the U.S., was not spared either. In April 2024, President Joe Biden forced TikTok to sell to a U.S. company or be banned. Upon returning to the White House, Trump set a 75-day deadline, by April 9, 2025, for TikTok to find a buyer, citing concerns about user data being collected and content being manipulated. The result: Chinese investment in the U.S. has dropped dramatically, from $46 billion in 2016 to less than $5 billion in 2022. Despite protests against Trump's immigration policies, many Chinese citizens are still denied visas or deported without reason. But the funny thing is that many Chinese people are crazy about Trump. They see him as a symbol of success, with his sharp negotiating skills and huge fortune. His daughter, Ivanka Trump, even has a huge fan base here. At its peak, on May 1, 2025, a U.S. congressman proposed printing Trump's image on the $250 bill, causing Chinese social media to laugh out loud. Why? In slang, 250 means stupid, stubborn, reckless. In addition, 2026 marks 250 years of American independence, an unbelievable coincidence. Trump has not responded yet, but if he knew, he would have shut down this idea right away. 2. India, excellent students that Trump both respects and hates. Despite being half a world away from the US, India still sends millions of people to the land of the stars and stripes without worrying about the distance. With more than 4.5 million people, the Indian American community accounts for 1.4% of the U.S. population, the second largest Asian group after the Chinese. Not only are they numerous, they are also quality to an impressive degree. This is the ethnic group with the highest income in the U.S. If the U.S. were a classroom, Indians would definitely be excellent students that teachers always praise. The number of Indian origin congressmen in the U.S. Congress has increased fivefold in the past decade, with nearly 50 working in state legislatures. As Chinese international students decline, India has emerged as a bright star, providing high-quality human resources for science, technology, and engineering. When it comes to technology, we cannot ignore the Indian origin tycoons, Satya Nadella, CEO Microsoft, Sundar Pichai, CEO Google, and a series of big bosses at IBM, Adobe, Palo Alto Networks. Jokingly, when entering Silicon Valley, you only have two options: work for an Indian origin CEO, or become an Indian origin CEO. But life is not always full of roses. Under Trump, Indians in the US have faced many storms. First is the tightening of the H-1B visa, the golden ticket for highly skilled workers. In 2023, of the 386,000 H-1B visas issued, Indians accounted for nearly three-quarters, so they received the full impact. Many technology engineers feel like they are walking on a tightrope, not knowing when they will slip away. Not only that, Trump publicly criticized India on trade. During his campaign, he called them exploiters of bilateral relations, then imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum, and revoked preferential trade status. He also accused corporations like Tata and Infosys of stealing jobs from Americans. The Indian community did not sit still. They organized protests and formed lobby groups to protect their interests. But the American dream of many people was still shattered. In 2025, India, the most populous country in the world, had to prepare to welcome 18,000 people from the US back home to appease Trump and avoid trade threats. On March 5, 2025, the image of Indian immigrants handcuffed and shackled on a deportation flight from the US to their home country that lasted more than 40 hours caused fierce controversy. Once again, Trump proved that he was not afraid to take strong action against outstanding, good students. 3. Pakistan, a traitorous ally, fuels the fire. Next is Pakistan, a country where about 20,000 people seek to come to the US each year, from skilled workers, businessmen to students. In 2019, about 554,000 people of Pakistani origin lived here, a sharp increase from 204,000 in 2000. A huge number. Pakistan used to be one of the 16 major non-NATO allies of the US, receiving many incentives from Washington. But for Trump, this is the friend that makes him annoyed the most in terms of military and economic aid. On the morning of January 1, 2018, Trump exploded on Twitter, scolding Pakistan for receiving $33 billion United States dollars from the US in 15 years, but only responding with deception and fraud. He accused them of harboring terrorists in Afghanistan, who were being hunted by US forces, and then announced a cut in military aid. Pakistan immediately counterattacked, accusing the US of betrayal. But the drama has not stopped. When Trump abandoned, Pakistan strengthened its relationship with China, causing him to become a bandit. Trump was worried that US aid money could be diverted to Beijing, his number one enemy. At its peak, in August 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice announced a shocking case. A Pakistani was accused of having ties to Iran, suspected of plotting a political assassination in the U.S. According to the FBI, the target list included Trump and many high-ranking officials. At this point, U.S.-Pakistan relations were as tense as a bowstring. On March 12, 2025, a flight carrying 119 deported immigrants from the U.S. landed in Panama, including both Vietnamese and Pakistanis. Under Trump, immigration from Pakistan became more difficult than ever. Aid was cut. Visas were restricted. and many people were deported even though they had set foot in the US. The Pakistani community here lives in insecurity, worried about strict visa requirements, and fear of being discriminated against or considered an intruder. For Trump, Pakistan is not only an old ally, but also a traitor who needs to be eliminated from the game. 4. North Korea, the missile master that makes Trump angry. First, let's go to North Korea, the country with the most advanced missile system and the largest army in the world, 7.7 million soldiers. But don't let that number fool you. The number of North Koreans who immigrate to the US each year is only 500 to 1,000 people, mostly defectors or asylum seekers seeking freedom. It sounds small, but the US-North Korea relationship is as complicated as a couple who love each other but can't get along. In 2017, when North Korea continuously tested ballistic missiles and declared that it could attack US soil, Trump was really mad. He responded with a statement that went down in history: "We have stronger missiles." With just a few short words, Trump turned the war of words into a tense weapons competition. Things could have ended there, but in 2024, a scandal broke out that shook Washington. According to the US State Department, from 2017 to 2023, about 130 North Korean engineers secretly worked for companies and non-profit organizations in the US. Initially thought to be just ordinary employees, they secretly earned at least $88 million to fund Pyongyang's weapons of mass destruction program. It sounds like a Hollywood spy movie, but it's 100% true. When the information was exposed, the US immediately offered a $5 million reward for anyone who could provide clues about this plot, from stealing trade secrets to demanding ransom, then transferring it to North Korea. For Trump, this was the last straw. He applied a strong sanctions policy, tightening immigration from North Korea more than ever. Although the number of North Koreans in the US is negligible, this small community lives in fear. Visa denials, sudden deportations, or even not daring to appear in public to avoid being on the radar of the government. North Korea in Trump's eyes is not only a nuclear threat, but also a hidden enemy within the US itself. 5. South Korea, drama brother with trade deficit. Next is South Korea, or South Korea, the land of K-pop, beautiful idols and famous brands such as Samsung, LG, Hyundai. With about 2 million Korean Americans, accounting for 0.6% of the US population, they are concentrated in Los Angeles, New York, Washington, D.C., and contribute greatly to the US economy through entertainment, cuisine, and technology. The US and South Korea have been close brothers since the Korean War, supporting each other countless times. On October 9, 2024, the South Korean president also declared, "The US is the only ally that protects our freedom." It sounds sweet, but for Trump, this relationship is full of drama. Trump is always nervous about the trade deficit with South Korea. In 2017, this figure reached $27 billion, with Korean cars and electronics flooding the US. While US exports to Korea were meager, he demanded that South Korea pay more for US military bases there, from $1 billion a year. Trump wanted to double it. He roared, "South Korea is a trade giant. They have to pay more." But South Korea calmly replied, "Don't worry, we have Samsung, LG, Hyundai. It's perfect." Even though money is exchanged for food, Trump is still cautious. On March 17, 2025, the U.S. Department of Energy listed South Korea as a sensitive country for mishandling information related to the laboratory, an excuse for Trump to keep his distance. Although there is no direct ban policy, Koreans in the U.S. are still affected by Trump's general immigration policy. Students and skilled workers have difficulty with H-1B visas, and the Korean American community complains about discrimination. On May 21, 2021, in New York, young people holding Korean flags protested with the slogan, "Stop Asian Hate." Many people said they were asked rudely, "You look Korean. Why don't you speak Korean?" For Trump, Korea is both an ally and a nasty friend in trade. 6. Indonesia, annoying friend in Southeast Asia. Finally, Indonesia, the world's fourth most populous country, over 270 million people, and the largest economy in Southeast Asia. About 100,000 Indonesians live in the US, mainly in Los Angeles, New York, Washington, D.C., but in Trump's eyes, Indonesia is an annoying friend in trade and strategy. The trade deficit with Indonesia has always annoyed Trump. He criticized the country for not opening its doors enough to American goods, even threatening to impose high tariffs on exports from there. For Trump, that is an unbearable injustice, and his protectionist policies only make the relationship between the two countries more tense. Indonesia is also not an important strategic partner in Trump's vision for Asia. Instead of strengthening relations with Southeast Asia, he focuses on Japan and India, big players, against China. Back in 2016, when Trump announced a ban on Muslims entering the U.S. if elected, Indonesian citizens and officials reacted strongly, demanding that he be banned from doing business there. By 2025, the Indonesian government had suspended a tourism project with a golf course named after Trump near Jakarta due to environmental concerns. Would you want to live in a place where people have negative stereotypes about you? Of course not. That's why Indonesia is on the chopping block. And today's video ends here. Thank you for watching the video up to this point. Now, goodbye and see you in the next videos. Bye bye.